United States. Luciano is an American mobster who split New York City into 5 crime families, heading the Genovese crime family himself. He also initiated the Commission, which served as a governing body for organized crime nationwide. Luciano moved to Havana and was later deported to Italy, living out his final years in Naples. Born Salvatore Lucania in Sicily in 1897, Luciano became one of the most notorious criminal figures of the 20th century. He came to the United States with his family in 1906. Not able to speak English, Luciano struggled in school. He preferred to learn how to make it on the streets of New York's Lower East Side. One of Luciano's first rackets was getting his schoolmates to pay him for protection. If they didn't cough up the money, he was liable to give them a beating himself. Luciano dropped out of school in 1914 and graduated from other offenses. While he worked as a clerk for a hat company for some time, he managed a budding criminal career as well. The teenaged Luciano befriended Jewish gang members Meyer Lansky and his associate Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, who would become 2 of his most important allies. He also became affiliated with Giuseppe Joe the Boss Messeria's criminal operation. Luciano got involved in dealing drugs, which led to his first major run-in with the law in 1916. He was caught selling heroin and served 6 months at a reformatory for the crime. During the 1920s, the prohibition of alcohol created opportunities for criminals to make a lot of money. Luciano became one of the big 6 of bootlegging along with childhood friend Lansky, Siegel, Louis Lepka Buchalter, Jacob Gura Shapiro and Abner Lunges Willman. These unscrupulous characters dominated the illegal liquor trade on the East Coast. Luciano was also an associate of Arnold Rothstein, also known as the Big Bankroll, who had gambling and bootlegging operations. In 1929, Luciano lived up his nickname Lucky by surviving a savage attack. He was abducted by a group of men, who beat and stabbed him. Left for dead on a beach in Staten Island, Luciano was discovered by a police officer and taken to the hospital. It was unclear who had ordered the attack, but some speculated that it was the police or top crime boss Messeria. Messeria was in a turf war with rival boss Salvatore Maranzano around this time. Luciano had worked for Messeria for years, but he later supported Maranzano. He helped arrange for Messeria to meet a grisly end in April 1931. Rising to power, Luciano took over Messeria's position as the top boss, with Maranzano's approval. He became a leader of one of the city's 5 families, taking his place alongside such infamous figures as Joseph Bonanno, Joseph Profesi, Tommy Galliano, and Vincent Mangano. Unfortunately for Luciano, Maranzano soon viewed him as a threat and ordered a hit on him. But Luciano was able to strike him first, having some of his men take out Maranzano in his office in September 19. Luciano's luck ran out in 1936. He and 8 members of his vice racket were brought to trial that May. Convicted on extortion and prostitution charges in June, he was sentenced to 30 to 50 years in jail. Luciano was sent to the Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, New York. Nicknamed Siberia by some, the remote prison was near the Canadian border. Luciano tried to appeal his case, but the court upheld his conviction. 31. With his rival vanquished, Luciano focused on improving how criminal gangs did business. He sought to create a national organized crime network to quell any conflicts, manage disputes and establish guidelines between the different operations. In addition to the heads of the 5 families, he brought in other crime figures from across the country, including Chicago's Al Capone. This new entity, sometimes known as the Commission, took organized crime to a new level. In the early 1930s, Luciano was enjoying the high life. He lived at New York's luxurious Waldorf Towers, part of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, under the name Charles Ross. Flush with cash, Luciano looked the part of a wealthy businessman, wearing custom-made suits and riding around in chauffeur-driven cars. But the good times were about to come to end, as Thomas E. Dewey was appointed to serve as a special prosecutor to look into organized crime in 1935. Luciano met Italian ballerina Igia Licini in 1948. Despite their 20-year age difference, the couple fell in love, and it was reported the following year that they had married, although others claim that wasn't the case. Regardless, the couple's life in Naples was tumultuous, as Luciano continued his womanizing and at times turned abusive. Licini later developed breast cancer and died in 1959. Luciano's luck ran out in 1936. He and 8 members of his vice racket were brought to trial that May. Convicted on extortion and prostitution charges in June, he was sentenced to 30 to 50 years in jail. Luciano was sent to the Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, New York. Nicknamed Siberia by some, the remote prison was near the Canadian border. Luciano tried to appeal his case, but the court upheld his conviction. While in prison, Luciano offered to help in the war effort during World War II by using his criminal connections in Italy to advance the Allies' cause. After the war, Luciano received parole and a deportation order. He went back to Italy briefly and then traveled to Cuba. There he met up with some of his old cohorts in crime, including Lansky and Siegel. In 1947, the Cuban government sent Luciano back to Italy, where he remained under close surveillance. He was not allowed to leave Naples, where he spent the remainder of his days. According to some reports, he still had his hands in narcotics trafficking. Luciano considered sharing the inside details of his life story over the years. In an odd twist of fate, he suffered a fatal heart attack at a Naples airport in January 19, 1962. Luciano had been there to meet with a film and television producer.